Picture this, you're cruising comfortably, wrapped in thick clouds, everything seems fine, but silently your aircraft is getting heavier and you're getting those warnings in Flight Simulator that things are broken. Also, you will see that your airspeed indicator will start to act weird and you suddenly hear all kind of alarms. You didn't see it coming, but your wings are choked in ice. In flight simulation, ice is the quiet killer. Today D is for de-icing and we're going to walk through the physics of the freeze and exactly how to recover when everything goes wrong. Welcome back to our Microsoft Flight Simulator A to Z series, where we break down foundational aviation concepts letter by letter. Now a lot of simmers treat ice as a purely cosmetic feature, something that just looks cool on the windshield. But Microsoft Flight Simulator actually simulates structural weight, aerodynamic drag and instrument failures. Today we're bridging the gap. If you're a beginner, we'll demystify when to flip the switches. If you're an advanced pilot, we're going to look at why ice forms the critical difference between anti-ice and de-ice, and how to spot a deadly pitot blockage before it stalls your plane. To understand your defense systems, you have to know your enemies. Structural icing requires just two things: visible moisture and an outside temperature near or below freezing, typical between +2 and -20 Celsius. Notice I said +2 degrees. As air flows rapidly over your wings, the drop in air pressure cools it down even further, freezing water droplets instantly on impact. There are three major hazards you will encounter in the simulator. 1. Rime ice. This looks like a milky, rough white crust. It happens when a small droplet freezes instantly on impact. This is the most common type in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Number 2. Clear ice. This is smooth, glossy and incredibly heavy. It destroys your wing's lift while remaining hard to see. 3. Pitot icing. This targets your pitot tube, your aircraft's speedometer sensor. If ice freezes this tube completely shut, climbing makes the gauges falsely show you're speeding up, while descending makes it look like you're grinding to a halt. It's a deadly illusion. To combat these hazards, aircrafts use two entirely different strategies: anti-ice and de-ice. Think of anti-ice as prevention, you turn it on before ice forms. Airlines and high-performance turboprops use hot bleed air from the engines to heat the metal leading edges of the wings, keeping them too warm for ice to ever stick. Electrical heat is also used to protect your windshield and that vital pitot speedometer sensor. De-ice, on the other hand, is removal. It deals with ice that has already built up. Or TBM 930 uses pneumatic de-ice boots. Those black rubber surfaces on the front of the wings and the tail. When activated, engine bleed air literally inflates them, cracking the accumulated ice off so the slipstream can blow it away. For decades, pilots were told to wait for a quarter inch of ice before inflating the boots to prevent something called ice bridging. But modern aviation safety groups like the FAA and NASA have proven bridging is a total myth on modern high-pressure boots. Waiting is dangerous. Pop those airframe de-ice switches at the very first sign of ice aggregation. So we're in the TBM 930. So if we look at the temperature, it's -17, -18 as you can see. And all the systems are disabled. The airframe de-ice, the windshield de-ice, the pitot heat left and right are disabled. And if we look on the windows, or on the, I would say, windshield, you can already see some icing. Also here you see some icing also. And if we may go outside, we might see some icing on the wings. But that of course is always the question, because that is not always very clear visible, as already explained in the video. So here we go. We need to switch to, let's say, another view, right? Let's say turn the aircraft a bit or turn the camera a bit. And you can already see some, let's say, if you look at the wings, it looks like that there's some, let's say, layer on it, which is not good. On the front you see those boots which we discussed earlier, and you can also see them on the tail, right? On the tail there's also the black part. If we look from the up side of the aircraft, or from above I should say, then we see those black things which are nice, and those will really help us with a kind of continue to fly in these circumstances. So let's go inside the aircraft again. We do see that I would say the speedometer is kind of, let's say, stable. We can also see the altitude is still climbing, but the speed itself, it doesn't increase or decrease. There you can see some small movements, and also we see the icing here. Now if we would make the icing worse, it will of course become worse, and you can do that, or you can simulate it by going to the weather, and then you can simply drop the temperature even further. Or you can increase the precipitation, right? Let's do also that. Let's drop the temperature, and you can see what happens. You can see that the, I would say, speed, weird things are happening. So the, I would say, pilots are getting, I would say, completely, I would say, between brackets, screwed up, right? They don't know what to do anymore. You can see it's also now decreasing a bit. I'm not sure if that has to do with the flight simulator functionality, because I also wasn't expecting this, but this is what happens if you drop the temperature even further. We don't have the stalls yet, but I do think that if we would make it a little bit more cloudy, that it would become even worse. So we can do that by going to the AGL, and that's where you see things will get worse, right? Because now we're in the middle of the clouds, and let's say things will likely start to become very, very, I would say, bad, because currently minus 44 and minus 45. We don't hear the alarms yet, but if you would continue to fly long enough, it will really damage the aircraft. You can see that the, I would say, icing is now a little bit gone for some reason, so maybe I switched. I would say it's kind of weird because it's colder than it was, but in some cases that also is being caused by the de-ice functionality to be enabled by the co-pilot. That's what I had also earlier. So now we have this, we've got all those gas alerts, right? Those alerts which are saying, hey, you need to make sure that your, I would say, pitot heats are on, or because this simply would say is dangerous. Well, that's what we know. So we can even make it worse, because I really want to, I'd say, almost break the aircraft, and don't try this, I would say, at home. So we can, say, even drop it further. And now you see things will act up really weird, because this is something which can't be correct, right? This speed, and if we would say increase the snow depth, also I want to, would say, have more, I would say, clouds, so we can do that also. Of course, let me see, here are the clouds, and we can say the density is really, say, heavy. And this is how we can make it even worse compared to what it was. And what you will see is that if we do this, the temperature will go crazy down, right? Because we're flying now through colder air than we were previously. We don't see things happening yet, but if you fly long enough, as already mentioned, you will definitely get things which are broken. You get warning messages, etc. I tried it out already, and that's definitely, of course, not what you want. So let me say, kind of see how you can prevent things being frozen, like what we currently see a bit on the windows, although I would have hoped it would be worse. So we simply go over here and we simply switch on all these switches, and then you can see for the de-ice functionality, these green LEDs are, I would say, illuminating, as you can see. And for the pitot heats, what you will see is that the warning here, right, will go away. So if you look at the central display of the Garmin, you will see no warnings anymore. And then if you are, let's say, on time, you can fix your aircraft. If you are too late, well, then good luck, because then things will become really worse, right? The altitude will likely not be shown correctly, the speed will simply completely mess up or might not be shown entirely, and eventually you might end up in a stall, and that's of course not what you want. And just like that, we break out into the clear sky with completely clean wings. Mastering your ice protection systems transforms winter flying from an unpredictable guessing game into an incredibly rewarding, realistic piloting experience. Make sure that on your very next cold weather flight, you treat the freeze as a real threat and add icing checks to your climb and descent checklist. If this guide helped you conquer the cold in Microsoft Flight Simulator, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of the Microsoft Flight Simulator A to Z series. In next episode, it's time for the letter E. Which topic we're gonna discuss? Keep an eye on the community because I will post the topic there. Thanks for watching and until next time.